Yeshayahu, or Isaiah, chapter 37. And it came to be, when Sovereign Hizqiyahu heard it, that he tore his clothes and covered himself with sackcloth, and went into the house of Jehovah, and sent Eliakim, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and the elders of the priests, covering themselves with sackcloth, to Yeshayahu the prophet, the son of Amoz. And they said to him, Thus said Hizqiyahu, this day is a day of distress and rebuke and scorn, for the children have come to birth, but there is no strength to bring forth. It could be that Yehovah your Elohim does hear the words of the Rabshakeh, whom his master, the Sovereign of Asher, has sent to reproach the living Elohim, and shall rebuke the words which Yehovah your Elohim has heard. Therefore, lift up your prayer for the remnant that is left. So the servants of Sovereign Hizqiyahu came to Yeshayahu, and Yeshayahu said to them, Say this to your master. Thus said Yehovah, Do not be afraid of the words which you have heard, with which the servants of the Sovereign of Asher have reviled me. See, I'm putting a spirit in him, and he shall hear a report and return to his own land, and I shall cause him to fall by the sword in his own land. And the Rabshakeh returned and found the Sovereign of Asher fighting against Libnah, for he had heard that he had left Lachish. And he heard concerning Tirhakah, sovereign of Cush, he has come to fight with you. And when he heard it, he sent messengers to Hizqiyahu, saying, Speak to Hizqiyahu, the sovereign of Yehudah, saying, Do not let your Elohim in whom you trust deceive you, saying, Yerushalayim's not given into the hand of the sovereign of Asher. See, you've heard what the sovereigns of Asher have done to all lands by putting them under the ban. And are you going to be delivered? Have the mighty ones of the nations delivered those whom my fathers have destroyed, Gozan and Haran and Retzeph and the sons of Eden who were in Telassar? Where is the sovereign of Hamath and the sovereign of Arpad and the sovereign of the city of Sepharwaim, Henah and Ivah? And Hizqiyahu received the letter from the hand of the messengers and read it. And Hizqiyahu went up to the house of Yehovah and spread it before Yehovah. And Hizqiyahu prayed to Yehovah, saying, O Yehovah of hosts, Elohim of Israel, the one who dwells between the cherubim, you are Elohim, you alone of all the reigns of the earth. You have made the heavens and the earth. Incline your ear, O Yehovah, and hear. Open your eyes, O Yehovah, and see. And hear all the words of Sanherib, who has sent to reproach the living Elohim. Truly, Yehovah, the sovereigns of Asher have laid waste all the lands and their land, and have put their mighty ones into the fire, for they were not mighty ones, but the work of men's hands, wood and stone, and they destroyed them. And now, O Yehovah, our Elohim, save us from his hand, so that all the reigns of the earth know that you are Yehovah, you alone. Then Yeshayahu, son of Amoz, sent to Hizqiyahu, saying, Thus said Yehovah, Elohim of Israel, because you have prayed to me against Sanherib, sovereign of Asher, this is the word which Yehovah has spoken concerning him. The maiden The daughter of Zion has despised you, mocked you. The daughter of Jerusalem has shaken her head behind you. Whom have you reproached and reviled? And against whom have you raised your voice and lifted up your eyes in pride? Against the set apart one of Israel. By the hand of your servants you have reproached Jehovah and said, with my many chariots I have come up to the height of the mountains, to the limits of Lebanon, and I cut down its tall cedars and its choice cypress trees, and I entered its farthest height, its thickest forest. I have dug and drunk water, and with the soles of my feet I've dried up all the streams of defense. Have you not heard long ago how I made it from days of old, that I formed it? Now I've brought it about that you should be for crushing walled cities into heaps of ruins. And their inhabitants were powerless. They were overthrown and put to shame. They were as the grass of the field and as the green plant, as the grass on the housetops and as grain blighted before it's grown. But I know you're sitting down, and you're going out, and you're coming in, and your rage against me. Because your rage against me and your pride have come up to my ears, I shall put my hook in your nose and my bridle in your lips, and I shall turn you back by the way which you came. And this shall be a sign for you. This year you eat such as grows of itself, and the second year what springs from that, and in the third year sow and reap, plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. And the remnant who have escaped the house of Yehudah shall again take root downward and be fruitful upward. For out of Jerusalem comes forth a remnant, and those who escape from Mount Zion. The ardor of Jehovah of hosts does this. Therefore, thus said Jehovah concerning the sovereign of Asher, he does not come into this city, nor does he shoot an arrow there, nor does he come before it with shield, nor does he build a siege mound against it. By the way that he came, by the same he turns back, and into this city he does not come, declares Jehovah. And I shall defend this city, to save it for my own sake and for the sake of my servant David. And a messenger of Jehovah went out and struck in the camp of Asher 185,000. And they arose early in the morning and saw all of them dead bodies. And Sanherib, the sovereign of Asher, broke camp and went away, and turned back and remained at Nineveh. And it came to be, as he was bowing himself in the house of Nisroch, his mighty one, that his sons, Adremelech and Sharezer, struck him with the sword, and they escaped into the land of Ararat, and his son, Esarhaddon, reigned in his place. Chapter 38. In those days, Hizqiyahu was sick and near death, and Yeshayahu the prophet, the son of Amoz, came to him and said to him, Thus said Jehovah, command your house, for you're going to die and not live. And Hizqiyahu turned his face towards the wall and prayed to Jehovah and said, I pray, O Jehovah, please remember how I have walked before you in truth and with a perfect heart, and have done what is good in your eyes. And Hizqiyahu wept bitterly. And the word of Jehovah came to Yeshayahu, saying, Go and say to Hizqiyahu, Thus said Jehovah, the Elohim of David your father, I've heard your prayer. I've seen your tears. And see, I'm adding 15 years to your days. And out of the hand of the sovereign of Asher I shall deliver you and this city and protect this city. And this is a sign to you from Yehovah that Yehovah does this word, which he's spoken. See, I'm bringing the shadow on the sundial, which has gone down with the sun on the sundial of Ahaz, 10 degrees backward, and the sun returned 10 degrees on the dial by which it had gone down. This is the writing of Hizqiyahu, sovereign of Yehuda, when he had been sick and had recovered from his sickness. I said, I shall not see Yah in the land of the living. I shall no longer look on man with the inhabitants of the world. My dwelling is plucked up, taken from me like a shepherd's tent. I've cut off my life like a weaver. He cuts me off from the loom. From day to night you make an end of me. I soothed myself until morning. Like a lion, so he shatters my bones. From day to night you make an end of me. Like a swallow or a thrush, so I chattered. I moaned like a dove. My eyes looked weakly on high. O Yehovah, I am oppressed. Undertake for me. What do I say? For he has spoken to me, and he himself has acted. Softly I go, all my years, because of the bitterness of my being. O Yehovah, by these do men live, and my spirit finds life in all of them. Restore me and make me live. See, for peace I had what was bitter, but you have lovingly delivered my being from the pit of corruption, for you have cast all my sins behind your back. For Sheol does not thank you, nor death praise you. Those who go down to the pit do not watch for your truth. The living, he is praising you, as I do this day. A father makes known your truth to his children. Yehovah, come to save me, and let us sing my songs with stringed instruments all the days of our life in the house of Yehovah. For Yeshayahu had said, let them take a cake of figs and apply it on the boil so that he lives. And Hizqiyahu asked, what is the sign that I go up to the house of Yehovah? And chapter 39. At that time, Merodach-Baladan, son of Baladan, sovereign of Babel, sent letters and a present to Hizqiyahu, for he heard that he had been sick and had become strong. And Hizqiyahu was pleased with them and showed them the house of his treasures, the silver and gold, the spices and precious ointment, and all his armory, and all that was found among his treasures. There was not an object in his house or in all his rule that Hizqiyahu did not show them. And Yeshayahu the prophet went to sovereign Hizqiyahu and said to him, what did these men say, and from where did they come to you? And Hizqiyahu said, they came to me from a distant land, from Babel. And he said, what have they seen in your house? And Hizqiyahu said, they've seen all that is in my house. There's not an object among my treasures that I did not show them. So Yeshayahu said to Hizqiyahu, hear the word of Yehovah of hosts. See, the days are coming when all that is in your house and what your fathers have stored up until this day shall be taken away to Babel. Not a matter shall be left, declares Yehovah. And they shall take some of your sons who are born to you, whom you bring forth, and they shall be eunuchs. in the palace of the sovereign of Babel. And Hizqiyahu said to Yeshayahu, the word of Yehovah which you have spoken is good. And he said, because there is peace and truth in my days. And Psalm 76. In Yehuda Elohim is known, his name is great in Israel. His booth is in Shalem, and his dwelling place in Sion. There he broke the arrows of the bow, the shield, and the sword, and the battle axe. Selah. You are resplendent, more excellent than mountains of prey. The stout-hearted have been stripped. They slept their sleep, and none of the mighty men have found their hands. At your rebuke, O Elohim of Yaakov, both the rider and horse lay stunned. You are to be feared, and who would stand in your presence when you are displeased? From heaven you shall cause judgment to be heard. The earth shall fear and shall be still. When Elohim arises to right ruling, to save all the meek of the earth, Selah. For the wrath of mankind praises you. With the remainder of wrath, you gird yourself. Make vows to Yehovah your Elohim and pay them. Let all who are around him bring presents to the one to be feared. He cuts off the spirit of leaders. He is awesome to the sovereigns of the earth.